Hello, my name is Bakari Pace. I'm an undergraduate at Morehouse College. I had a conversation earlier in the reception with NYU professor, and we were discussing what are the tools that the UNDP has for balancing the MDGs with sustainability protocols in terms of influencing the private sector to take those type of initiatives, and also what is the role of undergraduates in advancing that agenda as the, I guess, metaphorical torch is being passed from Gro Harlem Brundtland and Maurice Strong to our generation.
Well, one of the interesting things happening in development is the engagement of the global private sector. Now, I'm not saying the entire private sector of the world is thinking this way, but there are, in the leadership of a lot of the global corporations, people who are interested in being part of the conversations around post-2015, Rio Plus 20, sustainable energy for all, and so on. And I think the truth is that the sort of breakthroughs that a lot of developing countries are looking to make with their infrastructure, for example, to enable them to grow and develop, the private sector partnerships are going to be quite an important part of that. Development these days isn't like it was when my own little country was developing, which was quite a different model from the USA. The USA developed by private capital. New Zealand was a rather poor colony that didn't attract people with much money. So the state developed. The state borrowed the money. The state built everything. Even through to the 1980s, the state still owned a huge proportion of the New Zealand economy. But that isn't a model that will go anywhere these days. So a lot of poor countries are not very bankable, can't borrow a lot of money, but with partnerships constructed the right way, the private sector could be in on power supply, on rail, road, ports, whatever. Now, where we tend to come into that is, obviously to support governments to get a good deal. But I think the energy challenge is one that definitely needs private capital involvement. And the Secretary-General put together his Sustainable Energy for All initiative deliberately as a partnership between the multilateral organisations like my own, World Bank, UNIDO, UNEP, and the private sector. Now, the problem is, and this is a very interesting conversation we had at G20 finance ministers meeting I was at, hosted by Russia a few weeks ago. There's a lot of investment finance out there looking for a home. But the countries which desperately need investment are often not the best place to attract it because of serious issues in governance. Think corruption, think inadequate regulatory and policy environments, etc. So before the private sector gets involved, or as it gets involved, the organisations like my own, which work on governance, capacity building, regulatory environments, need to be very, very engaged. So, in summary, there's no shortage of interest in the private sector, but it's looking for where it's not going to automatically lose everything through investing. Secondly, on the sustainability agenda, Rio Plus 20 will attract businesses which are really energised and excited by sustainability, and I've worked with such companies in my own country. There's some wonderful advocates, and not just greenwash, right? I know about greenwash, not just that. Companies that really work very hard to build sustainability into their model. The challenge is for this to become much more universal than it is at the moment, so that the way in which we produce goods and services has sustainability built into the design. But there is quite a lot of goodwill out there that can be tapped, and maybe your generation will be part of the next set of tapping and leadership on that.